Hi visual arts students. Today we're looking at patterns and you're going to do a project that involves doing numerous repeating patterns. I started off here on a Google image search just so you can see that if you put patterns into an image search, you're going to come up with a lot of different types of patterns and a lot of links that you can click on to be able to get tutorials on how to do patterns. It shouldn't be hard for you to find patterns at all. There's patterns in nature, in animal prints, and in plants, and geometric shapes, and there's just all sorts of patterns if you look around for them. So I mentioned patterns in nature, and I have a Google search there. You can see butterfly wings and leaves and flowers and bubbles, and I think these are snails. There's all sorts of beautiful patterns in nature that you might want to consider. And of course, you can always go look at Pinterest too. So Pinterest will have just a variety of tutorials so you can practice different patterns and learn different things. There's all sorts of links here. So you should have no shortage of inspiration in finding patterns once you get started on this. So now I'd just like to show you the project that we're going to do. So I'll present this. So what are you going to need? You're going to need your sketchbook paper, or if you think you're going to use a lot of wet watercolor paper, you can get some watercolor paper and do it on that, some thicker paper. It's up to you. You'll need something colored, and I'll leave that up to you if you want to use watercolor. If you do want to use acrylic paints, you can use them for this project. Or tempera paints. I use these ink blocks because I had them and I like using them. They make a little bit more of an intense color than watercolors do. So you can basically use what you have. You can use pencil crayons. You can even use felt markers if you want to. So that part's up to you. You'll need a black Sharpie, like a fairly fine-tipped one, or even a black ink pen will work, or a combination of both. So that's what you need. So the first thing is just to sketch out your idea. You're going to paint over this, so don't get too attached to it. Just make sort of a vague indication of where you want everything to go. And you can see that's what I did here. I was going to do a person's face, a girl with a couple of flowers. You can do a person's face if you want to. You can do something similar to mine, but that's not the assignment necessarily. You can do other things like a landscape, ocean, trees, animals. There's lots of animals that this would be really cool to do. Oh, and of course birds, or you could do a sunset or a city scene, or even a still life, maybe a bowl of fruit or a vase of flowers. Really, you can do whatever you want, but just make it relatively simple. This probably doesn't work really well for a really fussy type of painted picture, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so here's a closer look at the sketch. Notice it's just slightly drawn in, and you are going to paint over it. So it didn't really hurt that I had a picture of it done for reference, just so I could remember where the features were on the face. If you want to go ahead and take a picture of it, that would probably help you. That part's up to you. So sketch it in really, really lightly. And then you're going to put in all your color. Now remember, this can be paint, or it could be ink, or any kind of felt markers, or however you want to put the color in. That part's up to you. Notice I did lose the detail here, but luckily I had my pictures so I could go back and figure out where I stuck that nose and the chin and stuff afterwards. So that'll work for me. Then once you get it all colored in and you let it thoroughly dry, don't be in a rush, because if it's not dry then your felt marker is going to bleed all over. So let it dry, and then you're going to use a black Sharpie or a black fine tip pen or something like that, and then you're just going to start putting patterns in. They can be really simple to start with. Something like that is a pattern. Not a very interesting pattern, but it's still a pattern. And then I started filling it in a little bit more, and just the basic instruction is just keep going and have a lot of fun with that. I can't wait to see what you do.